But disclaimer as well for the beginning of this video. Disclaimer, this is a spoiler-rich discussion about the anime Twilight Out of Focus that came out summer of 2024. So if you have not watched it, or you want to watch it, or you want some of my opinions about it, you should probably click off because not one part of this is spoiler-free. I do talk about other animes too, and I also have spoilers, but nothing that's out of the realm of what BL is and what shoujos are. So that is my disclaimer. But for everyone else who watched this far, thank you and please keep watching. But anyway, hello and welcome back to my video. Welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, name's Miracle, population me, where I talk about everything I want and nothing holds me back. And if you watched my last video, you know I'm kind of excited for this video. And now listen, I know this is just an anime review video, but I've always wanted to review anime with someone. And I don't really like doing it with like those mainstream animes where it's like the big three or whatever anime that's like really popping and still talked about to this day. I like talking about the smaller ones that have like 1 or 2 seasons from like literally 5 years ago that no one really talks about anymore because it's no longer in production. It was really good back then. Like if you know Yone of the Dawn, very popular anime. Does not have a season 2, but yet was a prequel to the manga. It is very weird why they did that, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about a nice anime that I did not know existed and came out in the summer of 2024. And I just finished it like literally yesterday. Today is January 25th or 26th. It's a Sunday, whatever. Right before February. So if you're waiting for that book review, it is coming once I finish the book. I am actually whatever. Point of the video is today we're talking about Twilight Out of Focus. And if you see my eyes going down, it's because I'm literally on the Anime Planet page because I did forget these characters' names, even though I finished it yesterday. But let's get into it. As you know, this is the intro. I go to the summary and I go into my thoughts because my thoughts will mix in with the summary if I do not discipline myself and focus and separate it because I have no one to talk to about this except for y'all. And maybe it's just myself, I don't know, but maybe my future me will listen to it too. So that'll be 2 people at one point. So let's just get into it. The premise of this anime, real quick, what caught my eye and why I didn't see it beforehand is the premise is there's 2 main characters who start off. I'm gonna butcher everyone's name, so I'm so sorry in advance. But there is Hisashi Otomo and Mao, just calling him by his first name. They are second year in a high school all-boys dormitory, and Hisashi is this gay person who has a boyfriend out of school, and he rooms with Mao for the first time starting freshman year, but realistically the story takes place second year, which is technically, if you're in America, that's your junior year because freshman year for us starts freshman year, but freshman year in Japan starts in freshman year in Japan starts in second year for us, so sophomore. A little confusing, so I'm just gonna stick with first year, second year, third year, just for the remainder of this video because it gets confusing if you don't understand it, and I just don't wanna, I will confuse them more. But anyway, they met first year, and during that time they made 3 promises to each other. 1, Mao is not gonna tell anyone that his roommate Hisashi is gay and has a boyfriend. Why? I don't know. They don't really explain the dynamics of that, but that is 1. 2, Hisashi would never come on to Mao, he has a boyfriend. He would never do anything that's inappropriate or do anything that makes him uncomfortable, that makes him feel like they shouldn't be roommates anymore. And then the 3rd promise they make is if they need to get busy with themselves, if you get what I mean, they will let each other know and not be doing it while they're in the room because they do share a dorm. It's like college basically, but private school, all boys dorm, you get what I mean. But this all kind of started because when they first meet each other, first year, they kind of live by each other's own rules. Hisashi did what he wants on his side of the room, Mao did what he wants on his side of the room. They were never truly friends, and they don't really know too much about each other for like majority of that year. It all came to a pass when one night, Hisashi came back from being out of curfew. He went out somewhere. At this point, you don't know where he went to. But he comes back and he's like terribly sick. He's also wet because it rained that night. But he came back in his room, went to sleep, was sick, whatever. Later on that night, Mao is realizing, oh, Hisashi is sick. He is coughing, he is sneezing. I should probably check on him because my roommate is sick, right? He goes to his bed. He realizes, oh, hey, are you okay? You good? And Hisashi literally was like out of it. Like he was out of it. He literally pushed him down on the bed and tried to do I want to say he tried to do the deed, but I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't tell you what he tried to do. But he tried to do something to him that was borderline sexual. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say because this is basically high schoolers. But essentially that happened, and then at that point, Mal pushes him away because he's like, "Wait a minute, calm down. Like I'm not like that." He's very much telling, like, "I am straight. I don't care if you're gay." Like da da da. But at this point, he didn't know he was gay. He just assumed like, "Oh, he must be terribly sick for him to come on to me, especially when he's like never talked to me before since this whole year." So that's what started the promise off. The promise started because Hisashi basically told Mal later the next day when he got better, like, "Hey, I'm sorry if you want to leave because this happened. I understand. I am gay. If you feel kind of disgusted or whatever, I understand." But Mal was like, "I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you want to do all that. But let's make some promises to each other, which are basically like ground rules to a camera to have us understand like what we don't want and what we expect of each other." And that's where the 3 promises come from, right? So let's get back into the storyline of where the juices of it is. Now, this is 12 episodes, so I'm going to try and condense as much as what I say, because these are not the only couples you see in the entire show. These are just the main one you will find. So Mal and Hisashi go on their lives, and Mal is in a film club. They're basically making a movie for their cultural festival that happens yearly. And they're going against the third years, but also against like drama club and all the other clubs that do things for the cultural festival. And they need a leading man. And for this film they're making, it is a BL or a boys love, like the anime itself is, obviously. But they don't have the leading person for the main role. And so the director, all these are the same year, they're all second years. The director tells Mal, like, "Hey Mal, I see your roommate looks kind of good. Let him be in this film." And Mal is like, "I'm not sure if I want him to be in it." He tells it to himself. He doesn't tell anyone. He can't tell anyone that his roommate is gay because it'll come off, who knows, like maybe not great for the rest of the team or whatever fears they have against like him telling people. But he doesn't want to tell Hisashi because he realizes like, oh, if I tell him that the director thinks he'd be great to be in a BL, he might assume I told people that he is gay. And that is why people assume he'd be really good in a BL, But long story short, Hisashi realizes like, oh, they want me for this role because the director went straight to him. He told Hisashi without even talking to Mal, like, "Hey, you'd be great." Long story short, Hisashi does it. Mal is relieved because he really does believe that he is breaking trust, but he is fine, and then he goes wrong. And the movie happens, and it takes like 5 days to complete. And essentially, throughout the entire time, Mal is recording Hisashi. He is the cameraman and mainly the lead of it. So he doesn't do it by himself, but he does do all the camera work. And during one scene in the film, I forgot which one, he finds out like maybe like Hisashi might be a little too good for this. Like obviously he is, gay and everything, but he looks really hot. And this is Mal's thinking is like, why am I attracted to my roommate? That's kind of crazy. So then one night Hisashi's out with his boyfriend. We don't know who his boyfriend is. And he's not in his room, and Mal is thinking, like, oh my god, I might be attracted to my roommate, da da da. And so when Hisashi comes back, he has a bruise on his face, and we're all just like, ooh, we're all like wondering what happened. And Mal is confused and wondering what is going on. Basically, he tells him like, oh, me and my boyfriend, we broke up, and it was really sad. And Mal is like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like that is because they've been dating for to Mal's understanding at the time, over a year. So to have them break up for whatever reason just felt like, I'm so sorry, But Mal, I don't know if he saw it as his chance or maybe he just, whatever. But he basically says, can we date? Like, it's okay if we date because I can't stop thinking about you. There's so much to you. There's so much nuance to you that I want to understand. And honestly, you're hot. But it's very more like, if you watch Horimiya or if you watch like any other like really good shoujo anime, they are similar in that regards and how they describe each other. I just can't do it because I don't remember exactly what they said, and I'm not very good at like saying it in a way that makes it sound like I actually watched it. But just assume that it was really heartfelt, heartwarming, yada yada. And Hisashi at the time, we're seeing this straight from Mal's point of view still. So we don't know too much about how Hisashi feels about moving from one boyfriend to another, but at this point he's like, oh, I didn't realize you thought that me like in that way. But of course the promise is still there and they don't know sure like, oh, we should do this promise or whatever. But they go for it. They're like, okay, fine, let's date, you know? And they kind of kissed in this moment. And I forgot what was said. But essentially, she started telling me along the line, like, oh, I'm so glad, like, you fell for me, whatever. And he kind of makes him feel like overwhelmed with his love in a way, because he kind of already had a crush on Mao. I'll explain more about that a little later, because it does stick with Mao's point of view. But at this point, Mao is realizing, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to be with you, because it feels like I'm coming on to you right after you have a breakup. And that isn't really how I want this relationship to start. So he kind of moves away. He's like, I'm so sorry, I did not mean to do all this and that with you. And he moves away to his own side of the room. And the next day when they're at film club, he kind of just like avoids him. He only being friendly with him. He doesn't really say much about what went wrong or why he moves away from trying to kiss him and trying to be with him. So now we're switching over to Hisashi's point of view, which is still happening within the same timeline. But you see more of his backstory and what happened to him from having a boyfriend to literally, being with Mao later on in the series. Essentially, growing up, this is like, he had like the saddest sob story, which I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh my God, it was so much darker than I assumed in this kind of anime. But essentially, growing up, his parents remarried, or his mom or his dad got married to a whole other person, right? So the original one divorced, you know how it is. He got a step parent, and that step parent had a stepsister, and I assume she was either the same age or younger than him, and this was when he was like 14 years old, so like 2 years before the show originally starts. And at that time, the stepsister was doing the stepsister kind of thing the jokes about, you know what I mean? Like, hey, step bro type storyline. She was doing that. And at this point, you don't know if he was gay or if he was just like, hello, like, let's not, like, hello. But because he was a guy, the parents automatically blamed him for trying to come on to his sister. But in reality, she was coming on to him pretty heavily. So basically, he gets ostracized, which really means kicked out of the house. And while he was still in middle school, his teacher, which, you know where this is going? Not going well. His teacher realizes that he's no longer at home, and he realizes that I can take care of his kid. And then he basically adopts the kid. Not officially, but he takes him home, takes care of him, basically raising him as his own kid for like 2 seconds. Realistically, he is there to date this kid. So he dates a 14-year-old Hisashi. Yes, and his teacher is a teacher. So whatever you might, anyway, I can't say my thoughts. But they date all the way up to the second year of Hisashi being in high school. That is the teacher that is the person he was dating this entire time. And apparently at this point, he's trying to, like, the teacher is trying to break up with him multiple times to manipulate him into running back towards him to stay together. So for the longest time, since like first year, they're supposed to be broken up. Hisashi has always run back because in his mind, no one has ever truly loved him, except in his mind, the teacher has loved him. Loved him. When in reality, he's only using him because he's a child, So when he realizes Mao is his roommate first year, and he realizes how good of a person he is, how selfless he is, though they're not talking, he starts to realize, maybe I like Mao. But of course, Mao is still considered straight. He doesn't really have any feelings for him at this point. So he doesn't really do anything because he made that promise that he's not going to break it or talk to him inappropriate or do anything weird. But at around this time, second year, back in the point where he has been hit by his boyfriend has tried to break up with him in the car. And for once, Hisashi isn't trying to run to him and be manipulated again and say, oh yeah, let's stay together, we'll be fine. For once, he's like, okay, let's break up. Like, you're right, we should not be together. And then he laid down the law and was like, that's why you a PDF file, whatever. That's why you're XYZ. You only with me because you like kids. Oh, he let it loose. And I was like, anyway, I can't say my opinion. Oh, it's gonna be harder than I thought. Anyway, that happened, and then he hits him because he's like, oh, you're not trying to manipulate me? That's crazy. So he hits him. He's actually leaves the car. He runs back home. And this is where it goes back to Mao realizing he got hit, and they realize, oh, they like each other, they got. Now you're caught up. Now we get back to the film club. The day after this whole thing happened, and Mao has already backed up for them. He's actually filming with him, realizing he can't concentrate because in his mind he's wondering, what did I do wrong? Was there something wrong with me? Why does he no longer want to be with me? And did we ruin our relationship of being friends, which they really weren't that much close, but still being friends and understanding did his confession and my initiation for our kids kind of ruin what we had before? Is it too late? So he's all in his head, like messing up the scene because he's a first time actor as well. But he has these issues, like he's thinking about like, oh my god, like everything is ruined. At this point, Mao is also feeling the same way. You know, it's funny because he started it all, but he also is realizing like, oh, we need to talk about this. We need to like sit down and like really make this feel like it's not just a one-off. Like, oh, I only love you because you're single, or I only love you because you're hot, or I only love you because of X, Y, Z. That's not like very shallow, very simple. He wants to get from a real explanation, so he tells him like, hey, let's do it. Let's talk about this like literally a day like tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow when we have done like the main scene. Tomorrow comes around because moving the story along, and they essentially talk it out. Mao is realizing that he really does love him and he wants him to feel loved by him. Doesn't want to rush anything because he doesn't want him to feel like he's running from one relationship to another. But Hisashi tells him that he's not trying to, like, he's obviously he's out of a relationship. Obviously him being with Mao the day after the breakup feels like a rebound, but he does not want him to be like, oh, you're going to be like this person who's only with me because I'm single now, or you think I'm hot. You know, he's not full of himself at all. He has like real people problems, and he has been like basically groomed for the last 2 years and had no real family love. So he doesn't want him to think like, oh, this is all coming to head because of what I've been through. So you talk it out, really heartfelt, really cute, and they're realizing we should date. We should date. Like, this is gonna be fine. We'll just not let people know because the secret still wants to be that they're together, they're gay, but they don't want people to know, so they keep it to themselves, but they do date. And this is the 3rd episode by now, right? And this is gonna happen a lot, but they did the deed. They did the deed. You can figure out for yourself what that means. I don't know who my audience is. I can't say truly, but if you get it, you get it. 3rd episode, they did the deed. And you're just like, oh, yeah. It was very respectful. It was not like you saw crazy anything. You knew. So yeah, if you watch Horimiya and you knew the main characters did the deed in that one episode, they did a little more detail of what you know, you saw more, but it wasn't like, it was respectful of their age, I believe. So we love that couple. We love the couple. They're great. They're wonderful. They basically stay here, whatever that means. Next episode, we go to the next couple. There are 3 couples. They're the first couple, but they're all these couples are within the same film club. So for some reason, it takes place in film club. Couldn't tell you why. But the next couple, and I am looking down, I forgot their name. It is the director of the film club, who is Ji-Chi, and the director of the 3rd year film club, Jin, right? Okay. Anyway, so Jin-Chi, he's the director of the film club. He really wants to win. He really wants to be the 3rd years because realistically, Jin-Chi is really hard on himself. A little backstory, he's really hard on himself. He always wanted to be a director since he was a kid. He never really saw himself as doing anything else. So he thinks, if I'm gonna be good, if I'm gonna be a director, I gotta win Oscars. I gotta be the 3rd years. The 3rd year's president, but also the director, is Jin. Jin, he is the president, the CEO, everything you could think of when it comes to film club, because he is, you know, the most popular, the most likable, and he's the 3rd year, so obviously 3rd years are going to be like the one in charge. And Jin-Chi, this is within the film of them making the BL movie, so all these things are kind of almost happening at once, but they're kind of slightly like misaligned. So you don't have the Jin-Chi storyline with the Mao and Hisashi. They kind of happen like after the fact. If you kind of get what, you don't see both couples getting in love with each other at the same time. But essentially, what happens like makes them come to head because Jin-Chi is always looking at Jin with disdain. He hates him. And not him specifically, he hates his film work. And it's kind of funny because in the film, or in the show, he thinks his movies are bland, boring, and disgusting, and untasteful. They're not very good. Like, anyone could have written this, and they should not be able to like submit this for anything, because unless you're a kid, you shouldn't like the films that Jin makes because they're not good, in his opinion. But it's funny because he's always basically very competitive in that regard. So if you're like into sports and you don't like a team because they're X, Y, and Z, you know, you're technically in the same school, or you're technically 2 different rivals of the same state. That is how it is in the film club, and only Jin-Chi feels this way because everyone else is like, no, it's not gonna make a great film, we're good. And Jin-Chi's like, no, we gotta beat the 3rd years, and it's hilarious, it's great. But essentially, what made them come to head is that Jin-Chi, he lives alone. He lives with his grandpa, so he doesn't live in the dorm like everyone else does. And his grandpa gets sick one night, and he has to go live in the dorm room for a few months because he can't live alone. For once, I guess for once they realize you probably shouldn't live alone as a kid. Anyway, so basically Jin has an extra room because he's living by himself in the dorms. So they share a room together, and Jin is very surprised to see him being there because he did not know that he was the one he was rooming with. But at this time, they're very calm. Jinchi is not giving out the same energy he gave off during school. He's not telling them, hey, your movie's trash, you should do this, X, Y. Like, he's not giving out that energy at all in the dorm rooms, which makes Jin really confused because he's like, you literally hate me at school, but when we're alone in our dorms, you're just like saying hi and you're saying welcome back and you're being really respectful and nice to me. And I'm just like confused because I'm like, why are you doing this? And so basically, at this point, Jinchi comes over to, like, he comes to the room, whatever. He has a bunch of manga, a bunch of BL manga, which is so funny because it was kind of telling he was going to go down that road. He has a lot of BL manga that he shows with Jin. He tells him, like, these are the type of manga you should read if you want to do. This is the 31. These are the ones that are good storyline, all this stuff. And Jin basically is like talking to him about these manga, basically getting to know him a lot more than just a guy who's like very competitive at film class. But still, during film club, even though they live together now, Jinchi acts like none of that happens. He acts super competitive with Jin. So you're just like seeing like this two-faced guy almost. Like, he's competitive when they're in school, but when they're alone, it is more of like, hey, like, look at this BL guy. Look, how was your day? And how was like clubs? And how was school? And how, they're basically being roommates. But it all comes to a head, and I will be saying that a lot. It all comes to a head when some of the people on Jin's team who are helping making their own film, they come into the room, and one of the people wants to quit. He wants to quit. He doesn't want to be in a movie anymore because he doesn't want to be like one of the characters in the film. And Jinchi overhears this, and he's like, don't you dare quit. Everyone has to like help out in this movie. You quitting means they gotta do more work. It's not fair to everyone else. He says it kind of rudely, but he's right, basically. And then Jin, who is always trying to make sure everyone feels good and welcome no matter what happened, he tells the guy, like, hey, no, like, it's okay if he wants to quit. We just still need him. So, like, as much as you can do the work, we'll just cover for everything else. But then she is like, no, he shouldn't do that. He should stay. He made a commitment. If he wants to leave, it's not fair because everyone has the same issues. Like, you're all taking exams, you're all going to college. It makes no sense why he gets to be the one to quit. He asked to be here. And so the guy leaves, the people leave, and Jinchi is looking at Jin for the first time, and he's talking about the film and talking about how he shouldn't just let people like run him over and let people like say no to him when he's working just as hard as them to make a film happen. And Jin is like trying not to talk about it. He's like, no, it's okay. Like, we can talk about this later. He's just trying to go back to talk about manga and talk about BL. He's not trying to bring the hate, like the competition of what they have into the room because they've been very good in what they've been doing so far. So then essentially Jinchi is like, are you serious? Like, you're crazy. Like, this is so serious for you. You always do this. You always let people run you over. Like, your script before the edits were so good, but if you had everyone touch it, now it's not as good anymore. If you just stuck with your gut. But then Jin is like, listen, I'm sorry. I cannot like do what you want me to do. But here comes the backstory. Backstory, because it's always backstory. When Jin was younger, he was a lot more chubbier. He was a lot more fatter. His family runs like a dumpling restaurant. So they run like really good food and all that stuff. And he is one day going to take it over and still be in the family line. But he wants to do that, at least he says. When he was younger, he was always friends with like a bunch of kids, always friendly to them. But he always thought to himself, if I was skinnier, more people want to be friends with me instead of being friendly with me. And so he was actually into doing a commercial for his restaurant, for his home restaurant, and he submitted towards like their city like annual kids fair. And that's when he met Jinchi for the first time, actually, when they were kids. And at that time, Jinchi was there. He submitted a film, like a for real film. And at this age, they're probably like 14. I don't know, like maybe 14, 13. But he submitted a film, and Jinchi was very hard on himself. Even though he got first place at the kids festival, this is gonna be kind of funny, but he wanted to win an Academy Award. And I couldn't tell you if he was serious or not. He was crying, so I could tell he's actually very serious. But you realize then that Jin saw Jinshi as someone who was very forthcoming with his emotions. He wasn't trying to hide anything. He was being like a true, authentic self, even in the eye of like strangers who were like, "You did okay." And he's like, "You don't know me in life. You just want anything that happened to you. That's like, the bare minimum." And I was just like, "Oh, like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, talk about yourself for once." But yeah, at that point, Jin realized like, oh, I should go forward and have these like real emotional conversation with people instead of just being like the person everyone likes but no one knows. Because even now, when he's like the third year being a president of the film club, he is only seeing the group of people that he has as like, I'm gonna continually give everything of myself to this film, even if it might lay down a road, lower the quality, or even lay down a road, have people feel like they can walk all over me. But he is still very likable. He's still like their president. Everyone still listens to him. But he even knows that when he goes out on dates or when he goes out with other people, even with his friends, he's never truly being his authentic self. And then when he is, he's a lot more of an emotional, mature guy that doesn't always want to be like a jokey, like, let me hold this for you, let me like pay for everything you have. He wants to be like more like, oh, let's have this conversation, let's talk about our future. And no one really sees that. So when they date him, they're like, you're doing too much. That's time over. She's always been single. But at this point, Jinshi has kind of, it's back to the present time now. Jinshi has kind of seen more of like who Jin is from behind the scenes when they're in the room. Though he still knows that he is truly hiding his real self from people and even from him to this day. But later on, they do talk about like how he does feel like he has to hide part of himself to make a film happen, or even make people feel like they are going to be like approved, but also as a one big family. Because if people just can't leave, then no one really feels any connection to the club, and he wants that, even detrimental of his own self. So one night, what kind of turns them into more of a couple. Spoiler alert! I probably should say that at the beginning, but basically they start to realize like, oh, like you're like Jinshi to Jin, they are kind of at heads of each other all the time, every day at school, but at home they're calm, cool, collective, whatever. But they start to realize like they are paying attention to each other's work a lot more. Jinshi clearly sees what Jin is doing behind the scenes of his own film, which is why he's so critical of it and why he don't want him to be more outspoken about what he wants as a director in his own film. While Jin is seeing Jinshi as like this person who's outgoing, always does these memes, never takes anything for granted, always lets his team do what it can, but also knows like if this film's gonna be great, everyone's put it 100% and we're always gonna be like this great family, and he's doing the work to make them feel that way. So they're seeing each other's flaws, but also their successes in their own world. And that starts to make them realize, like, oh, wait a minute. Oh no, am I falling in love with this person? Because they don't like each other like at school. They're just hilarious. Because when they're at home, they're like, all right, here's a BL manga, I got you, you know? But around this time, they start realizing like, oh, we do like each other, like a lot. And they started watching this film together, which, to be fair, that film had like the beach, and there was no one in that movie. I don't know, I'm not even sure what they were watching. They were watching like a beach. Like the beach was just water. It's like a natural like history museum, in a history film. It's just a beach. I was looking at that film like there's nothing. Anyway, there's no one in there. But essentially, they hook up. They realize like, oh, we do like each other. Like we see each other for who we really are behind the mask of whether we are trying to be very stoic, or very emotional, or very outgoing, or very hidden, or jaded, or walled up. We see each other for who we are. So they hook up several times. If you know what that means, you know what that means. Which is great. They're a lovely couple. You realize like, oh my god, they're great. But like the first couple, they don't tell anyone. They don't let anyone know that they're hooking up. Why? I do not know. I don't know if there's something in the air, if they're told not to talk about it, but they don't talk about how they're dating, which is kind of interesting. So around the time they started dating, or at least secretly dating, Jinshi's grandpa comes back from the hospital. So he's at home now, he's resting. So Jinshi's allowed to go back home where he goes. But because they have only started dating like a few days ago, they realized they didn't give themselves enough time to really get to know each other as a true couple. So they still make time during school or even after school to even see each other after curfew for Jin, but also out the house for Jinshi to see each other. But they start to realize like Jin is a third year. He's going to graduate in like a few months and leave and go to college, and they only now start a relationship. So they start to realize that we need to like figure out who we are, figure out if we can stay together, all this stuff. And that's not really truly fleshed out in the anime, unfortunately, because they don't give them much. I don't think they give anyone enough time to really get these questions answered. But I think realistically, if you were to date someone and a few months of them literally leaving you, you're not gonna be like, oh yeah, we're gonna see each other every day or something. Like, no, it's just not possible. So it seems realistic, but you wish there was more. And no, I did not read the manga, but there is a manga. So you just kind of see them do their own thing. They're so cute together. I'm not gonna lie, they're so like because you see Jinchi being so much more emotional, so much more like vulnerable with him versus being like, we gotta do it like this. Like he almost knows what he's doing to a point where you're like, oh, there's never a part where you feel like he even feels like he doesn't know the next steps. He doesn't know how to move through life. Or just like, though he knows why he's staying hidden, and even with that, he's so much more emotionally like supportive and more mature in his age. Obviously, he's a third year, and Jinchi's the second year. But anyway, like he knows more life, and he knows that not everything is going to come to their like goodwill in that case. So they're taking it one day at a time, which is amazing. I love them. And then next 3 episodes is literally the third couple, and third couple, I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of chaotic, and it was so funny to watch it. So I was like, what the heck? But they're chaotic. And the next couple is, they're also in the film club, but they're a little bit of a newer. So you only see like one of them prior, and one of them is a newer kid. So there's this guy named Ray. And Ray, he's already in the film club. He works with Jin. He is their editor. He produces it, but he also edits the film. Wears a hat, wears glasses, like all the time. You kind of question, what the heck? And then there's this new kid, first year, Shion Yoshino. And that's probably all the time I'm saying someone's full Japanese name because it wasn't super hard to say first time. He is this new kid. He comes from this middle school, and he's basically a femboy. Straight up femboy. He has pink hair. He loves everything pink. He's very femboy energy. And he lets the world know that. He's not very shy and letting people know who he is, though he is still hiding so much behind a fake smile. So I'm going to tell you the backstories right now just because a lot easier, but Shion Yoshino comes from a high school where his only friends were all girls, and that's fine. He went to like a co-ed school, but the guys never really liked him because he was more femboyish and whatever. So this is the first time you really see someone be harassed for who they are in the storyline versus them just thinking we gotta keep it on the down low. And then when he goes over to high school, he makes a plan for himself to literally get a boyfriend within the first year of high school. I don't know what he told himself, but according to him, he read a lot of shoujo manga, and he really wants the same storyline as the best one. So he's literally finding a boyfriend within the year that he's been there, which is the first year. And he went to 3 different clubs: baseball, basketball, and I think ice hockey. He's actually really good at all the sports, and they actually wanted him to stay, but because he never got like attention or boyfriend within those periods of time, he quits all of them. So then he goes to the film club and realizes, why not? And also one of his roommate, Kyoto Kujo, he's in the film club, and he invites him to come over 2 times. The second time, Shion actually listens to this, because the first time he's like, why would I ever? That's weird. I'd rather go to sports. But the sports didn't work out, surprisingly. I think he just wanted someone from the team and not someone from the audience who watched them play. But anyway, he goes to the film club, and he makes his announcement to the class that say, I am here to find a boyfriend. Like, legit. He's where the second years and some of the third years are at in this film club. He's like, I'm here to get a boyfriend, and that's all I'm here for. I don't even care about movies. I'm here for a boyfriend. And this is where Ray comes in. Ray Inaba. He basically is a third year who's retired from the film club because once the cultural festival has already occurred, which at this point has already been completed, and this third year won, clearly, and Jinchi was pissed off, obviously. But Ray is here as support for the team and also making sure that they do everything right, and if any questions, he is like a secondary helper for them. You know, in a few months, he will be graduating and should move on to like college or job or whatever else they do after high school. But he's in the class and he sees Shion and he tells him, oh, you might as well just quit now. And he's like, why? And he's like, because look at all these people here, virgins. All these people are virgins. Never heard of anything about a boyfriend or about dating. You're really wasting your time if you're coming here for such a single matter thing. You have like not even a good percentage of like finding a boyfriend in this club. And Xion, headstrong, already went to 3 different clubs before this and had no like good like vibes from it. I already said, as long as my chances are not 0, I will take my chances here, which is insane. But anyway, basically, Xion is a very good worker. He's very good at what he does. If he puts his mind to it, he can do it. So when it comes to sports, he just knows he's gonna get better at the sport and it'll come naturally. But all he did was build muscle. He's like very skinny, but he's very strong. It's just hilarious. But essentially, he stays in this club and he's realizing after a few times of like coming there, he's like not getting really a boyfriend. He's not really getting anyone, and he's wondering, did I make another mistake? But granted, it's only been a few days, a few weeks to this point, and he stayed at the sports thing at least longer. They played like at least a game or 2 before he really quit. So he's here still. He's trying to figure out the equipment because it's not like sports. You can't just like magically hit a puck into the goalie and then be good. He has to legit figure out how to do a camera, and take good shots. And it's at this point where I think he was in the lunchroom or whatever. I might be wrong on the location, but Ray is there. No, they were in a room by themselves in their film studio room, and they may or may not have been a piano in the room. But Xion is crying in the room because he doesn't think he'll get a boyfriend. And he's actually kind of sad because I don't really know what he wants a boyfriend for. It's not very known, like, what is this drive for getting a guy to love him? But I assume because he never truly felt love. He never truly been himself. When people make fun of him, he kind of just pushes it through and moves on and be himself in his own flamboyant way. And he was only made fun of in middle school and stuff. But it basically took a toll on him to hide everything behind a smile, behind his bubbly personality. But underneath all that, he's like a hard worker. And if he really truly cares, he will put his mind to it. Even though he's not doing that for the film club, because he doesn't really truly care. And in this room is where Ray finds him crying. And he's like, oh, like, no boyfriend, huh? And then Xion's like, nope. He's just crying. Long story short, Ray's like, if you want, I can date you. Which is like, I don't know how you feel about a first year to third year dating. But anyway, they do start dating. He kisses him. Xion is like, oh my God, this is like the shoujo mangas I've read. He's very much into it, which is like the worst part. And it's actually kind of funny because the episode where he kisses him and like the parts after is in the episode called A Real Trashy Boyfriend, which I was like, oh no, what does this mean? But essentially in the episode, they start dating. And Ray doesn't let Xion come to his room ever at all. He's always editing some film, some video, something, right? So he doesn't come to his room at all. Xion is trying to text him all the time, like, good morning, good evening, how are you today, where you at, we eat lunch together, where are you, I haven't seen you all day, what's happening? And he realizes, even though they started to date like the day before, Ray isn't making any effort to actually talk to him or be a boyfriend. So Xion is like, am I tripping? Like, what is going on? Why is he literally not talking? So he goes to the cafeteria. He goes there and he's like, oh my God, where is he? Like, where is Ray? And Ray's not in the cafeteria. But Xion sees the third years and he's wondering to them, like, hey, y'all seen Ray? Like, we're dating now. So like, I haven't seen him. Oh no, he didn't say that. He said like, hey, have you seen Ray? And they're like, oh no, we haven't seen him in a hot minute. Like, he doesn't ever come here. He comes here so rarely. But then he comes into there like 5 to 10 minutes later. And they're all like, oh my God, you're here. Like, you never come to the cafeteria to eat ever. And he's like nonchalant, like, oh, I'm hungry. This is my boyfriend. And Xion is like, oh my God, you said that. But realistically, it doesn't feel like they're dating. And his friends are like so shocked. Oh my God, like, I'm so sorry for your loss, Xion. You should break up with Ray. He's not a good, like, he's a great person to be friends with, but he's a terrible boyfriend. Apparently he has dated other people and he has never been like good because he's actually pretty much not a bad person, but he has the red flags for you to be like, I don't think he'll do anything crazy to me, but he definitely is not emotionally there for me, and that's why you shouldn't stay with him. But essentially, Xion is like ripping him a new one. He's like, why don't you text me back? Why don't we ever hang out? Why are we boyfriend, girlfriend? Why are we boyfriend, boyfriend, and we're not even together? And Ray is like, I'm not budging an inch for you. You can text me all you want. I just won't reply. And I was sitting there, I should not give my opinion. But essentially, Xion is very surprised, very shocked. He's like, hello? And Ray basically tells the truth. He's like, even though I like you, I could have dated anyone. And I was like, Oh, no way. But essentially said that because Cheon has said he's only in the film club for a boyfriend, Ray has dated him because he thought, oh, if I date you, you'll quit the film club and it'll be for people who really do care. And Cheon is like looking at him like, I can't believe you said that. You know, the friends are just like, Ray, you shouldn't say that. And they're looking at Cheon like, Cheon, I'm so sorry. He is not the person for you. Because they know how bad he is as a boyfriend, and they're just like, oh, I'm so sorry you had to like deal with the mess that he created. But Cheon is persistent, if nothing else, and he's like, let me take your glasses off real quick. This man might be off something. He takes his glasses off because he's like, let me see how you look like without his glasses. And he's like, you're so cute, you're so cute. And he essentially basically says, I can fix you. Granted, this man just basically told him that he is not worth the salt on his shoe. But he said, I can fix you, you're still attractive, and now it'll work for me. Then in his mind, he is saying, once I get a hotter guy or just a hotter man there, I'm breaking up with you. I'm just like, I don't know if this is good for you or this is going to be really toxic. But friends see this and they give Ray a list of things to do for Cheon because they're like, you need to try as a boyfriend. Like, you cannot let this, like, if you love him for real, you should try. Like, it's not fair to Cheon to be dragged around because you don't want to, like, you want to play his heart, whatever. So essentially, more time goes on. They're seeing each other like here and there. It's very surface level though. Like, they see each other to talk. They see each other during lunch, when they leave, when they go to school. That's really it. So 3 times a day, mostly. But they've already told Cheon at the time, like, do not ask to go to his room. He's always working. He's not going to see him. And you're probably going to get hurt if you ask and he says no, because he's never going to want to let you in. And that's not true. He's just working. And Cheon is like, well, I have a boyfriend now. Next step, obviously, is to the deed, which I couldn't tell you why Cheon is a fun character. He's great. I just question where his mentality for a boyfriend came from, and that's never really truly answered. I mean, I guess if he wants like loved ones and a boyfriend is him, I guess, but like, I just wish for more friends. It was so weird, but it's great. It's great. I promise, please, I promise. Anyway, essentially, time goes on. Cheon realizes their relationship is very like one-dimensional. It's only like we talk to each other, we laugh, we giggle, all this stuff, but there is no breaking moment. They realize they're in love with each other, and Cheon is just being with Ray because he does want a hot guy as a boyfriend and hasn't really made much effort in the film club and everything else. So essentially, Cheon's in his room one day and he's with his friend. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna call his last name Kujo, whatever. And Kujo produces music, I think. I'm not sure if he does. He also does the camera, and maybe he helps produce the film as well in the same film club with Cheon. And he's trying to ask him what should I do for my boyfriend? Like, what should I do? And Kujo is not having any of that. He doesn't really care. He's like, whatever you gotta do, you gotta do. He's a good friend. He really does want to hear it. He's just tired of it because it's like, it doesn't sound like he really cares about Ray. He doesn't. He just wants to figure out how to make this a real relationship without trying to put a work in. But the next day at the film club, they are in this process of making a music video for like this band that's really popular. I don't remember what they're called or they're real, but they're a popular band, and they want their club to make a music video for them because they saw their cultural festival movie and thought, melancholy, harmony, that's our time, bye. So they asked him to do it. And Kujo hears about this and he goes to the film club and he's like basically begging. And he's like, please, let me help you out, produce his music video. I have a song, or let me help shadow you at the very least. And he shows him that he makes songs of his own, like produces them, whatever. And he really wants to like help out on this one. And the director, or Jinji, who is now Ji-Chi, who is now the president because the original president, Jin, is no longer there because he is third year and has, in the midst of graduating, excuse me, he basically sees it and he's like, oh, it sounds pretty good. But for some reason they choose Cheon because like, you're more, like we've seen what you've done and you're actually a bigger worker than Kujo. Not to say Kujo is bad, but in terms of work ethic, if we're choosing people to help us make this music video, we're gonna choose the first years who are actually good at it or have put the most work in. And they choose Cheon. I just said that wrong. Cheon. And Cheon, he doesn't want it. Like, granted, he kind of wants it. Basically, his mindset at this point is that I do want it, but I don't want it if it takes away from Cujo. And realistically, I'm only here to find a true boyfriend. Ray is a boyfriend, but he's not really my boyfriend. So I shouldn't take an opportunity away from Cujo, who wants him more. So he tells him that. He tells the director that, like, oh, I don't really want it. Like, she gives it to Cujo. Like, he's gonna care. I don't care about this movie. Crazy to say. But he really was trying to look out for Cujo. He was really trying to be like, hey, Cujo can have it. Like, I don't want it. I'm not even here for the right reasons, as you all know. I'm here for a boyfriend, you know? So it doesn't make sense for you to choose me when I'm only gonna work hard because it's for a bigger, like, it's for a bigger means to an end than just what you want me to do. But no one's happy with what he says. Cujo's pissed because he's like, you really think I wanted you to turn it down just to help me? You don't even care about the club. Your relationship with your boyfriend Ray isn't going anywhere because all you do is care about yourself, and you expect everyone to fall in line with you, but you don't make the effort to actually care about anything but yourself, and yet you still get hurt. So that's what Cujo said. It was kind of crazy because he was right, and Shion felt super duper bad because he knew that he was right. He knew that he never cared about himself. So one night he literally just stayed in the laundry room, didn't go back to his dorm at all because he didn't want to be with Cujo because he knew that he was pissed at him. And Ray saw him there because he was, I guess, roaming the hallways for some reason. And he let him go to his room. And he tells him, like, eventually tells him, takes him a while, to be like, oh, like, I'm dealing with this fallout with my friend. He basically said a bunch of stuff that was true. Like, nothing I've done so far in this club or so far in my school, you know, he's done like a lot of great work. It's never truly been from his heart. It's always been like, oh, I'm doing this work for something else. Like, I'm not doing the film club because I like film, I'm doing it to find a boyfriend. I'm not doing sports because I like sports, I'm doing it to find a boyfriend. And once these things don't work out for him and his end goal, he just quits and doesn't care about the, you know, people who actually are helping him get to this point, or even like seeing him from the side or support him. They just be like, oh, he quit because he's, you know, doesn't get a boyfriend. And Ray basically, his wife advised, tell him like he's always been the same way. Like, people usually see him as like this really guy, like this loner guy who's never really been with people. It kind of thinks for himself in that way. Like, he's rude to talk about, but rude to be around. But he's also like really helpful in certain ways. Like, Ray is very self-aware about what he does and how he is. But in his mind, he doesn't really want to change because he's scared of change, and he's a third year. So being a third year, it means exams. It means college path. It means choosing a school or a job to go to. And Ray doesn't want anything to change. So he's more in his ways now than he has been the last 2 years he's been in school, because things have to change for him to like move forward in life and not just stay at school doing film. And he tells Shion this, and Shion's like, oh, that's crazy. Like, that's amazing. But like, it puts things in perspective. Like, this isn't something that is new to people, but also I shouldn't stick in this way because Cujo is a real friend of his. He doesn't want to like let him down, because Cujo even said he was watching Shion from the sidelines, you know, they're in the same club, because he still believes in him as a film, like not film director, but he still sees the work he puts into for the movie, and he still wants him to like try his best, even if Shion sees this as a means to an end, nothing to do with the film. But essentially, the next day, Shion's like, thanks, Ray, whatever. And he goes to Cujo and he makes up with him. And then for next week and a half, we don't really see anything from Shion. We only see from Ray. And Ray is realizing that, oh, Shion is no longer with me. Like, no longer texting me, no longer trying to hang out. Like, he sees Shion here and there, but he's so focused on either the film club or being with Cujo that Ray starts to realize, like, oh, am I missing him? Do I realize that he is the change I want to see? And to be fair, it does feel like he is only thinking this way because he is missing the guy who he deliberately tried to push away. If you know that in real life, it's like, I'm not sure what it's called in real life, narcissism. I don't know. But he kind of gets a little bit of those vibes, but he only seems to care about Shion when he's no longer trying to be with him 24/7. And so it's really like, oh wait, maybe I made a mistake. I am definitely the kind of person who should be okay. I'm the kind of person who should be okay with being dumped because I've been dumped. But if Shion dumps me, it'd be the first time I got dumped by someone else. And so I realizing they such really care about Shion. Shion's the hard worker. He's the kind of person who puts his best foot forward, even if the foot that he's putting out isn't exactly built in realistic vibes. But he starts realizing like, oh, I do miss Shion, I do want him to be around, but it does feel very much like you're just saying that because he's no longer trying to talk to you as much as often. They also think that Shion trying to date Kujo, who's his roommate, so that's a whole other thing. But he basically finds Shion one day, and he's like telling him like, "Hey, can we talk?" And basically, he gets him his fears of what he thinks is gonna happen. And Shion's like, "What the heck? No, I'm not dating Kujo. What the heck? I've just been basically told him like he's been focusing a lot more on the film club. He wants to make Kujo proud, but also want to be more active in what he does. Like, yes, he is good or whatever, but he wants to put his like mind on something and not just be one dimensional. Because when you work in a film club, it's a teamwork effort. You don't just do better on your own and that's all you do. You work with everyone around you and make them realize, hey, we do really want. You make them realize, hey, I do care and I do want this movie to do well. I do want to do it for the right reasons. So even though Shion was the one chosen for the music video, he lets Kujo comes along because he's like, oh, Kujo really can learn more, but I'm not letting this opportunity go away from me because I don't want to care. I want to care. Anyway, at this point, Kujo, or not Kujo, but Shion is telling him all this, and Rei is realizing, oh, I'm glad you figured out like what you really want. Basically, a lot of lovey-dovey stuff, but he does come off as like someone who's kind of narcissist. I don't know. Personally, oh, never mind. Sorry, not to the end. But anyway, Shion basically said they're not broken up. They're fine. They're okay. They're just going to put more definition of what they are as a relationship because he really does want this to work. He's not just using him to find the next guy. And Rei realizes that he shouldn't just use Shion with his bubbly personality to tease and make fun of when he is legit his boyfriend. So they both promise to make each other like more happier in the lifetime that they have at the school, however long, Rei got, and then Shion was there for 3 years, whatever. But as time goes on, you see Shion literally care so much more about this video, put so much more effort into it, get more friends because he's caring more about the club that they're all in versus just being like, all right, I did my duties, I'm gonna go home, or I'm gonna go to Rei, or I'm gonna just run around, whatever, and just be like airheaded about it all. But like one night, Rei invites him to his room, which is rare. Other than that one time he did, it's usually rare for him to invite him. And they go into the room, and Shion realizes that he's never truly been like upfront with Rei. Like even when they had to talk in the film club when he thought he was breaking up with him, whatever, he never really had real talk. So he takes his diary with him, and the diary is filled with poems that he written because he realized he was this bubbly person who's been very like outgoing, says what he means, even if it's not the greatest thing. When he writes in his diary as poetry, it's a lot more darker. Like you hear the thoughts that he has in the beginning of each episode, and you start realizing like, hey, this guy is depressed. You don't know why. You really don't know why. So you like realize the entire storyline of him realizing like who he is as a person that's been hated by many people from when he was in middle school. Like he never had a guy friend before. He only had girls who were friends. And that's great, but it's he thought the same thing would happen when he goes to all boys school, and it kind of did because he was pushing him away. But he had like avoidance tendencies, kind of. So if I had to like diagnose diagnose them, he has like avoidance tendencies. If things get too bad or it's not what he's looking for, he just leaves automatically. So with friends, he don't even try because he's like, I'm here for one reason only. They can't fall in my circle, then I don't want them. So he gets in his diary, which is like full of his dark thoughts, and having like seeing like, oh, these are what I really feel. It's not just this personality I put up and the sadness I have and the crying I have. And Rei is like, thank you for letting me know. Like, I know this anyway because you're that kind of person, but this is so much more deep than I saw. And Rei basically gives him more of like his own life and whatever. And it's more of what I already said about him being, I don't know, I kind of feel like I didn't understand Rei as much. I feel like I don't really know what he's going through, even when I'm saying it. It's more of him just being more stuck in his ways and not wanting to change. Even when he was a kid, he's never been like one to be like, I'm just gonna do more for other people. He's been like, yeah, I'm doing what I want, and people have to follow me because I hate change. That's just his whole personality. I hate change, so it's not as deep. And I feel like his lack of deepness kind of made me not like this couple as much. But Shion definitely made up for it, and they definitely did the deed that night. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, that's really what happened. They did the deed so many. Like, each couple did the deed, and I was like, yeah, nothing crazy, but I was, yeah. Anyway, that's really the whole couple. That's all three couples. In the next two episodes, they stuck with the original couple, which is Mao and Hisashi, and their storyline is so much better. But they're like third years at this point, or almost third years, because the third years haven't graduated yet. But they are filming this music video, which is in cahoots with what Ray and Xion was doing. And essentially they are realizing like, oh, like what are we gonna do after we graduate, right? Like not Xion, take a breath. Mao wants to go to a college near his home for film studies, but he wants to talk to everyone that he knows, including Hisashi, because he wants to make sure they're okay with it, and if he should go somewhere else, to go closer, because he wants to be near his friends and his boyfriend. And Hisashi doesn't really have a plan. He doesn't really know what he wants. He did say he wants to go to work and go straight into having a job and not really go to college. And at this point, you realize like he can't go back home anyway because he's been out of his house for 2 years, and the people who he called family were like little shits in layman's terms. But yeah, they kind of realize like, are we gonna be together forever? Like, is this just a fling? Like, are we gonna stand the test of time? Do we need like a red thread that proves that we are soulmates? And they have all these ideas and thoughts. And at the same time, Mao is thinking to himself, I am literally not a good boyfriend. Like, he is thinking this because ever since they started dating, like that year, he never really initiated anything. He never initiated the doing it. He never initiated the love. He never initiated the dates. He only let Hisashi do it all, and he just pulled love into it because obviously he is someone who is like more experienced or whatever. And that's what Mao keeps telling himself. And so he's thinking about this whole time, like, oh, I should do more. I should do more. I should do more. He doesn't know how to do more. So around the time we're doing this video, they're trying to figure out who is going to like lead it. And the band that contacted them, they literally told him like, hey, you should do it for Hisashi. We saw your movie. He's a great actor. This is his first time, whatever. But they're like, you should let him do it because he's really good. And they tell Hisashi. Hisashi's like, I don't want to do it. That's so scary. He's want to do it. And you can tell he's upset by it because he feels bad letting his friends down. But he also kind of wants to do it, but he doesn't want to do it. He's afraid. He's like an imposter syndrome. He's afraid that he's going to ruin it. And Mao is sad because he didn't really help him. He didn't really make him feel like he should do it. He just kind of like let him do it, like say that. And now he knows that his boyfriend is depressed about it. So he's basically just like, hey, we should talk. I thought I'm not doing enough for you. Like all this love that you give me, and I can't even help you when you're depressed about this. And then he's just like, no, you're doing great. You're amazing, sweetheart. Basically. But Mao does kind of, long story short, he does realize he needs to open up a lot more. He needs to be there for his boyfriend. He can't just let him do everything for him. So he's realizing like, you should do it. You should do this play. You should do this video. You'd be great at it. You're doing so much better now. You've been in the drama club for this long. Like you're a better actor than you were before. And he starts to help him like say the lines that he said for the film that he did first, and then realize like, oh, you're doing a lot more. Like you should do it. And then they do these again, but this time Mao initiates it. It's like, I mean, good show. And so you start realizing that Mao is becoming more of an open person. Before he was more like in his head, in his mind, always thinking he reads people very well, but never can like say anything to make them feel better. So now that he's become more of an open person, he tells his boyfriend, he tells him during the filming, so I am going a little bit faster, but he tells him during the filming of the music video, like, hey, after high school, let's live together. That way we don't have to be separated. That way, if you live on your own and you have to get a job, I'll just live with you and then I'll have to go to school. And Hisashi's like, perfect. Because what Hisashi always wanted but worried about is whether or not they're meant to be together forever. And if that would be the case, how can they ensure that? Because a lot of people do break up, whatever. And he's like, I really want us to stay together. Da, da, da. And Mao, out of the kindness of his own heart, he's such the sweetest kid for real. He was like, let's just live together. Let's live together. That way we have less of a chance of having something bad happen to us. Because why would we ever let something break us apart if we're constantly together, right? Like they're living together now. They're doing great, clearly. So it'll only be better off if they do it when they get to, college / a job. And guess what? There's a red thread between them. And it was kind of funny because it's a real red thread. They had balloons in the water because they did this video. And one of the threads was red and they were on their fingers. So it was very, very cute. But they're essentially they're the couples we started with and ended with. But everyone else, Jinchi and Jin, they're still together. We don't know like if they're gonna stay together or whatever. They're still in school. Xion and Ray decided to get a job and do college at the same time. I'm not sure how you can do it. I mean, I did it before, so it must not be crazy, but he is gonna try to do more filming, so that might be a lot harder. but they seem to be doing great. So the show kind of ends with them still being together and in high school. So no one really truly graduated yet. They're all third years. But that's the whole synopsis, and I'm down with synopsis because, oh my God, I want to talk about my thoughts now. This is probably going to be the longest part of the story, so I'm so sorry for also listening. First, I'm ranking these couples. The couple that's the best is obviously the one that's on the cover page, which is Hisashi and Mao. They are the cutest, more beautiful couple, and I think their storyline was a lot more deeper than everyone else. Maybe because Hisashi's backstory was so sad that I was like, yeah, we found them. But they have the biggest growth and everything in what they do, and they made new promises for each other on video, so you can have that overriding the promise they made in the beginning of the show. And they are just so much better. You see a lot more of their thoughts. It's funny too because I'll be in the comments when I was watching these episodes because I wanted to know what people thought about it and everything else. But it's so funny because if you watch Banana Fish, right, there's just two characters called Ash and this other guy. I did put his name was longer, I'm sorry. But it's Ash who looks just like Hisashi, and then there's the other guy who looks just like Mao. And people are like, this is literally Banana Fish, but on a happier ending. And I saw it and I was like, you know what? You hate that. So that's a really good, another reason why they're number one, because it's a lot happier. No one's dead. Sorry for y'all. Spoilers, obviously. No one's dead. No one's moving away. They get to live together. It was very beautiful, very nice. I truly wish the best, but I also need another season because their goodness is so good. And you're just like, Anyway, second couple, I feel like it's obvious, but Shin and Ginchi. They have their own struggles. Shin always feel like he has to do the most for people while also losing who he is in the process because he's always trying to be nice, even though he's skinnier and more popular and hot, whatever. He's always feeling the need to be like, I'm gonna let you do what you gotta do, and I'm just gonna support you from the side. And it's like, this is your film, my dude. You should probably put effort that doesn't override, what you want to do. And Ginchi is strong, says what he means, but also gets very vulnerable with Jin, which is very nice. Secondary couple. Not as much character development. I feel like no one really gets necessarily better if there was anything wrong, but necessarily bad. Not much to say. I'm not gonna lie to you. And then my third couple, where some people were definitely saying was their first couple in the comments I watched, was Rei and Shion. Maybe because they're the last couple that I saw, but I feel like in real life you wouldn't really use someone like Rei. If he said, oh my God, if you saw things he was saying to Shion, you would have been like, you're right, I shouldn't date you, right? Even if you had Shion's personality, you probably I'm not that desperate to get a boyfriend. There are too many people at this school for me to just hop onto this train, It was weird he didn't get attractive vibes from anyone else in the film club. There are two other couples in the film club that no one knew about, and I'm like, he could have easily have like Hisashi or Jin, So it's weird that he went for Rei and saw him as the only attractive guy in the film club. But at the same time, it was Rei is not the kind of person you want to be with. Yeah, you can fix him, but it's not like you're saying Toji from DJK, who's just a deadbeat broke man, and you're he's fine as fuck though. Rei, I'm not gonna say he's the hottest in the bunch, and he shouldn't have to be for you to feel like you should be with him. He's not the person you want to give all your energy to, and then have him not reciprocate any of that back until you're basically not seeing him for days on end. It just felt very he didn't really care as much until the very end, which is how I said he's kind of narcissistic, because it was only when he thought Shion broke up with him when he didn't, that he was I do need him. I should go fight for him. And it was yeah, Jin gave off more you're so mature, you're so nice, so yes, he so did. He gave him the compliment that he needed, while also being you're also rude, you're also exploitative, you're this and that and this. And it's these good things or these bad things. She's overall a yellow flag, but in the same breath, it's the red part shouldn't override the green part. But at the same time, it's nah, it depends on what you like. But I think in real life, you wouldn't date him. Also because the age difference. But anyway, overall, they're all great. I don't think we're gonna see a second season, but from the manga pictures, they're all about the first couple. But they were the strongest one, and they had the most episodes together. So I definitely see them being the best one. And why didn't I see this before? I have no idea. It was buried behind the worst BL animes ever. But it was so good. I was kind of worried a little bit though, because high school BL. There's already one out there called Sakura or something. Let me find this. Yeah, it's Sasaki and Miyano. And I heard it was really good of an anime. I haven't watched it. Don't quote me on finding that and doing a review. But I feel like it was going to be very similar because when I just random as, if it's just like a random romance between two guys, it's the same thing as a romance anime for me. And I don't purposely look for romance animes unless it's like a storyline. So what caught my eye with this one now versus like when it came out was the synopsis. They made promises to each other that this was going to be a lot more drama filled, and you're watching and like it's still drama. It's not like, oh my god, you know, someone finds out that Hisashi is gay and now everyone's freaking out and he's trying to keep a secret. It's more of like, oh, we're still trying to figure out life with each other and the future is so unknown, and it's so cute. If you watch Horimiya, it's very similar. The main character, Mia, it's the only reason I know people's name. The main character, Mia, went through so much bullying. He got a girlfriend in the 3rd year with Hori, and while they're cute as heck together, he still goes through like the trauma of like being bullied and realizing that maybe I'm not the best person for this beautiful girl that everyone likes. But Hori's always there to be like, what you talking about? I love you. And it's just the cutest you ever seen. They did have a 2nd season, but it was like more about what happened in the 1st season, which doesn't really count. But overall, I gave this anime a 5 out of 5 on Anime Planet, about 10. I wouldn't call it a 10 out of 10. It's just so funny. I think I gave it a 5 out of 5. But I'll give it like an 8 out of 10 because the last couple felt like they had to push Ray to be a better person instead of him just naturally like coming into himself. Because it wasn't like he had a redeeming quality, but he did have redeeming qualities. I make it sound like a bad person, but it's not like he changed. Oh, like not alive, obviously, but he didn't seem like he changed enough for you to really be like, oh, I'm rooting for this couple now. Like he changed enough for you to realize like, oh, he knew this from the start. He just didn't have anyone to like push it forward. But he's dated before, but he loved people before, and it's only when he had someone that he truly loved and was willing, like, was about to lose him, only then when he's like, oh, I should care more. And it was like, I don't like the idea of you realizing you love someone when they're about to leave you. You know, he wasn't not going to leave him. But he still gave off the vibe that he was only willing to fight when he knew that like, he thought this could be my chance to be dumped. And in real life, which is how I base all of my shippings. So if you ever, Toji's an exception, and Gojo. Anyone from that anime is an exception, to be honest with you. Because anyway, but in real life, you wouldn't go for a Ray. I mean, some people will. If they're fine enough, you will go for Ray, because that's the only reason why you do it. You wouldn't do it because you think, oh, I can fix them if they're not cute. If they're 6 or 7, maybe you will, but like realistically, if they're not up to your par and attractiveness, you're not gonna fix them. You're gonna be like, oh, I'll try to do better. But if they're like the number you like, I can fix them. It's all day, every day. You know, like just it doesn't give off a great vibe. Shion is funny. Shion knows what he wants. Shion is very serious. Outside of being really goofy, he has his diary. He knows what he wants. He knows where he is fucking up in, and he's willing to change it. He's literally made changes within the anime to like really be better. While Ray is like, yeah, I'll be a better boyfriend. I'll be this and that, and I'll change more in time. So I'll get a job, go to college. But it just kind of felt like, not to compare, but I'm going to compare. It felt like he was doing that in terms of Shion. It's like, oh, because Shion is doing so much, I should do as much too. And even though that's better than doing nothing, it still felt like you've been here for a while. You know what I'm saying? Maybe because I should assume everyone should change if I'm watching it, but I don't know. It just didn't feel like the couple was very strong. Though I like the character Shion more than I like Ray. Ray's been there since like the first episode, but like, you know, he's a great character by himself, but in the dating world, could not be it. But obviously, first character is Mao and Hisashi. Hisashi does look like Ash, so I see it. They said it in the comments. I was like, yes, sir, yes. Jin and Gishi, probably saying that wrong, but basically, cute couple, 10 out of 10, and they're both tall. Yes, sir, and stylish. Oh my god, I'm gonna put a scene of when he was handing over the books to like when Gishi was handing the books over to Shin, and they're the stylish people I ever seen. I'm like, damn, it's nighttime. Like, you guys will literally sleep, but they're so cute. That scene is so pretty. I was like, damn, y'all stylish as heck. Let's go with a different anime. And then Shion and Ray, 3rd place, but a pretty low 3rd place. Not even like, oh, it's almost matching. They're not. But all in all, 8 out of 10. I got a 5. Would watch again? No, I wouldn't. I would like to watch 2nd season. I would love to know more about like how they move on, because obviously, like everyone's either with someone who's in the 3rd year or they're gonna be in 3rd year, and it starts to be like I want to know more about how they progressed, because obviously you see how they became a couple, but two of the couples have people who are going to graduate. I want to see how they navigate that. Name the manga doesn't have touching that, but I just want to see more. And I don't want to read a manga. I want to watch it. But this is the anime I've been waiting to talk about because I just finished it and it was so good. Now I'm going to brag to my friends about how they should watch it and not give them any reasons about why they should watch it. Just be like, you should watch it. It's so good. And hopefully it works out. If not, well, at least I tried. At least I told you. At least you know. But if you watch it to the end of this video, thank you so far. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in my next video. And I really hope you like this one. If not, it's for a future music video because we're going to see in 3 years if this is season 2. If not, there's another anime out. So worry about that when we can. But thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.